October 2025 Next Fest just wrapped up, and I found over 50, that's 50, indie horror games that I had at least a passing whimsy to peek at. But I'm still in the middle of a big stream event right now, and frankly, that wasn't a particularly doable goal under the best of circumstances, so I whittled it down to 15. Some I played all the way through, others I gave a couple minutes of my time and moved on. None of this was streamed, however, as a heads up, you'll notice most of the footage is full screen, but others do have me chilling in the corner, because I initially planned to do full recordings of a lot more of these, but I just can't squeeze it into my current schedule. So I pivoted early on to this format instead. We're going to be categorizing these demos into yay and eh, each with 2 subcategories. You'll get the gist pretty quick. First up, yay, but I already knew that. Reanimal. Was it earlier this year? Last year? I was a bit out of the loop as to what Tarsier Studios was doing since they weren't working on Little Nightmares 3. Side note for context, none of the promotional material for Little Nightmares 3 ever got my attention, so I've kind of hard passed on it as of the recording of this video and haven't watched any footage since it released recently. That may change in the future, but as of right now, I haven't engaged with it. When I saw the trailer drop for Reanimal, I was immediately in. It grabbed me and did not let go. Gameplay is what you would expect, I guess, but I have to note just how smooth it feels. It is hard for me to articulate exactly, but as someone who played Little Nightmares 1, but opted to live vicariously more so for Little Nightmares 2, I feel like the controls have just been perfected over time. They feel sharper, even as I flail and fumble through the world. Anyway, I would have liked a teensy bit more from the demo. It does end rather abruptly, but I already know I want to pick this one up, so I'm still down. Carnival Hunt. This is a slightly more hesitant yay, definitely, only because of the nature of online ASIMs, but I was super excited to finally sit down and get some matches in. I think they had a previous round where you could get online, but I haven't given it a try before. So, in the matches I played, everyone seemed fairly chill, and the other people in the group seemed happy to answer questions and text chat. People were kind of trying to suss things out. That's not to say that was everybody's experience across the board. That was just my experience in the few matches that I got into. I'm a filthy survivor main in most of these games, with the exception of maybe Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where I played both sides fairly evenly. So all my matches were as a cute little bunny. It seems like they've got some mechanics in place already to preemptively avoid some of the pitfalls of a game like this. For example, the timer ensures the games can't last forever. There are lots of ways for the killer, aka the magician in this case, to track you across a pretty vast map. It's a vertical map, which is interesting. And you can get yourself out of trouble as a bunny, even if people aren't around to save you. You can ping. We love a good ping. And it was actually a little overwhelming to learn and keep track of all the alerts you might see as a bunny. But once I'd seen them and kind of knew what to associate them with, I was golden. I was like, okay, that's what that means. Got it. Thumbs up. No problem. Interestingly, you can play with voice chat in this game, and I presume it's proximity based because the magician can hear you if you choose to use voice chat. The groups I went in with, it's 5 bunnies for 1 magician. We always went in just with text chat and pings, although to be honest, I didn't even notice the text chat most of the time. It's pretty unintrusive when you're just running around the environment, so I actually would miss what people were saying sometimes. Interestingly, bunnies do have limited energy, and everything you do depletes it. You can use an oiler if you find one to give yourself a boost to fix yourself, which I think actually might not boost your energy, but might increase the wheel cogs you have. You have so many wheel cogs to help prevent you from being outright destroyed, moited in the game, right? But you do lose energy, which means you need to find a key so that you can be wound up. But you can't wind yourself. Other bunnies have to wind you. I appreciate that even if you found yourself alone and out of energy and you just kind of crumpled to the floor, that it didn't necessarily mean you were out of the game. you kind of being yourself and be like, help, and somebody could come and find you. If they could get a spare key, they'd come over and they'd wind you back up, and you would be free to continue on with the game. I'll be interested to know how this one pans out. I know I just rambled extra long about it, but ASIMs tend to be that way. There's a lot to cover. Dead format. I'm always a sucker for a good found footage style story, and this one's definitely unique, which in a sea of so-so found footage media, I appreciate even more. I loved the silent film aesthetics in the first tape that you find. They really committed to fully making sure everything felt authentic. Oh my gosh, the way the lighting and the makeup on these actors was just chef's kiss, as the kids like to say. Progress felt natural, puzzles were intuitive, I always felt engaged, it's got a real strong base. Also, health tapes, cute. Unfortunately, I did fall through the elevator floor during the lab sequence and found myself unable to continue. I also forgot about the save slot system, so I hadn't, thought to save yet. Oops. I opted to just check out of the demo there, but I already know I want to see the full version of the game, so like I'm not, I'm not over here like, rah, 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 I didn't get to see what happened. It's like, I'm probably going to be doing all of this again in the full version of the game, hopefully without mysterious elevators that won't let me out, but then kick me through the floor. Alright, now to move on to yay! But these are more new to me. Father. Always down for a well-done, creepy religious story, so this one caught my eye. Immediately, the one nitpick I have is the blinking press space element. Just have it in the corner. No blinky, not needed. Very distracting. Stylistically, this game is very strong. I could almost immediately mentally frame the game as a short horror film from the start. And the odd little twist that happens in the demo, I had mixed feelings about, but I'm also not going to show it here because the demo is short and you should just play it or watch somebody play it if you're interested. It wasn't clear to me at first if the twist felt necessary to tell the story, but when I saw the end of the demo, I kind of went, okay, possibility that had come to mind is confirmed. I'm more okay with it now. So, it'll probably pan out to be alright. Definitely interested in seeing how the full game comes together for this one. I definitely want to play it. No players online. Now, to be clear, I am very familiar with the short horror game made for the Haunted PS1 Game Jam, November 2019, by the same name that this is based on. I just didn't know, or maybe I forgot that they were remaking it. Maybe I'd heard that they were, and then I just didn't see anything on it. I don't know. The original had a bit of ARG going on with it, which was neat. Not sure if they're going to do anything like that here or keep those ARG-like elements within the game. Right now, that's kind of what it looks like with the whole you're within a computer clicking around on things kind of setup. I kind of remember that anyone who engaged with the original game, myself included, always mentioned how it would be neat to see the idea fleshed out further, that we wish there was just a teeny bit more to do or things that you could change. But Game Jam, right? You fit in what you can with the time that you have. Seems like now we might get to have an experience that's more of like an intensive, extended version of the story, and I, for one, I'm down for it. Welcome to Dolltown. Before I talk about this game, big brownie points for giving us a very thoughtful and upfront content warning screen. I'd already planned on covering this one, and then I saw the Gangnam Style short they did, which clued me in right away that these devs are approaching their creepy dolls horror game with a bit of a sense of humor, and I can appreciate that. Then they hit me with the, it's bread, and I knew I was in good company. Now, the demo is a bit stilted and janky feeling, the pacing might seem odd at first, but I can sense there's an actual vision behind how this game was put together. You feel like you're along for the ride, more so than you're being, dragged along, whether you like it or not. I like the aesthetics a lot. I'm sure they're not for everyone, but it's super up my alley. Best hair physics I've seen since Alice Madness Returns. Let's go. Since I was playing on my own time, and not for stream, I opted to check out after a point simply because I could already tell I wanted to play the full game and I'd be doing plenty more exploring then. Oh, and you can pet the cat, so game's already 11 out of 10 in my book. Beaux-arts, or, beaux-arts, as you might end up calling it. One of 2 games I did a full video on, linked down below, in part because I noticed fewer people were covering it here on YouTube. The way this game approaches their camera angles is similar to how a film might, or dare I say, older survival horror games might. I go on these tangents sometimes about how fixed camera angles are really great, but only when used appropriately, and not just for nostalgia factor. They are used exceptionally well here. This is definitely going to be an uncomfortable making oddity of a game, so sign me up. Alright, now let's delve into the end of the spectrum, starting with the smaller of the 2 categories, a full-on nah. Keep in mind, a nay can easily become a yay in future. These games are all still in development. The only game I ended up giving a full-on nah was Last Mile. Phew, alright, okay, so first off, I have to point out that one of the attempted scares in the demo caused the streetlights to freak out and could potentially give someone a seizure, so if you've got epilepsy, don't play this. Don't risk it. Secondly, the tutorial borked when I first loaded it up. I hadn't gotten rid of the entity and it told me, great work, keep going, with the entity completely blocking my way. Couldn't get any kind of menu to come up, so I hit Alt F4 and tried again. I made sure not to move an inch until I'd actually gotten rid of the entity. The driving controls are not the worst I've experienced, but putting all the HUD elements onto your dash, while a neat idea in theory, just gave me a headache-inducing POV and FOV. I felt like I couldn't actually see anything, and I was like tilting my head in a weird way like you would with your like Super Nintendo controller to make things happen. Like, I don't know. It was really awkward for me. I think a more traditional HUD might actually serve this game better, or just give us a really wide FOV so it doesn't feel like we're constantly head bobbing and flailing every which way. It really felt like anytime you turned the car at all, your whole body was like The actual environment you're driving through is unfortunately dull. The scares along the drive are somewhat reminiscent of Dead End Road, a fantastic indie by the way if you've never played, but most of the time I would just hear the stinger and not see what it was I was supposed to be scared of. Guess the game knew that, because my little sanity meter never budged. Side tangent. Please stop putting sanity meters in your game unless it's actually appropriate. It so rarely is. Eternal Darkness comes to mind as one of the only games where that's actually what's being affected. Call it stress. Stress get too high, your heart goes boom, or whatever it is these games want to imply is happening. I forced myself to make it to the first goal on the map, and a text box popped up telling me to go to another point on the map. Considering the more detailed mechanics the HUD implies there will be, the game feels like it either needs to be simplified, or things need to actually happen and engage me as I drive around. They probably do eventually, but this is a demo. You only have a few minutes to grab me, and instead I hit the brakes and turned around so fast. One positive I can give it is that the music seemed alright, at least when I could hear it. It seemed like it kind of cut in and out. Last Mile certainly has a basic frame that could end up really cool in the end, but it's just not quite there right now. And now for the larger chunk of games that were in my category, but these are less and more maybe eventually. That's more the energy. It's like, I think I might like to pick up most of these at some point in the future. Crystal Theater of Idols. The art direction looks stellar, and I appreciate the big BioShock nods, but I couldn't get more than a few feet in this game. Maybe it's my lack of ability when it comes to footsies, my less well-rounded experience with FPS-type games, or the fact the FOV isn't wide enough to keep me from getting a headache. But the enemies were just so durable that I got frustrated pretty quickly. We'll see how the full game shakes out, because like I said, the designs are great. There's definitely going to be blasphemous comparisons on the art, but that's not necessarily a downside. Kingdom of Night. I found it charming at times, but it didn't fully grab me. I really couldn't get very far with how hard I was shrugging. Controversial take, I know, people have been really excited for this game. They've been pretty hyped for a while. While this and Demon School are very different beasts. They share the element of local students being pulled into otherworldly affairs, and Demon School just hits notes that are more appealing to me as someone who grew up on Shin Megami Tensei. When it comes to Kingdom of Night, I'll still probably want to check out the full game eventually, it's just not prioritized on my list. I can still tell from the bit that I played that it's gonna have a lot going on, a lot to offer, and the music's great. I'd be remiss not to mention it. Geamana Village. The only reason why I think it's Geamana is because that was the pronunciation that came up when I looked up how to say the word in Romanian, so I apologize if that is actually incorrect and it is actually meant to be Geamana or Geamana instead of Geamana. This one strikes me as an indie horror that I might still play, but I did check out all the demo before anything terribly interesting happened. Go to place, run errands for the locals, get little to no info, repeat. Scary thing probably happens after magic number 3, but I'd gotten the gist of things by that point. By the way, I'm cool with a good heavy filter, but I had a hard time finding items in my little house at the start. The writing also needs some shoring up and additional editing, but the dev team does appear to be Romanian, so English isn't their first languages, and I'm happy to overlook that for now. I do love that they included a respawn vehicle key because, while it's clearly to make sure nobody gets themselves stuck, the driving controls are fine, by the way. Not bad, not great. It allows for some serious shenanigans. Now, this game is based on a real place, a real thing that happened in the Apuseni Mountains of Romania, and I just realized I didn't look up how to say Apuseni. Apusen? Apologies if that's not quite right. Feel free, if you speak Romanian, to give me critique in the comments of how you're supposed to say it, because I would love to know more officially how you're supposed to say these names. But yeah, this is based on a real thing that happened. Give it a search if you're curious. They kept the name the same. This strikes me as locals near area want to share creepy story with more of the world via video game, and I think that's cool. Super Chillers, the chat room. Can I just say, I wasn't expecting voice acting? Fairly solid too. This game ended up as an maybe, because I'm not raving about it. Demo did about what you might expect from the premise. Anyone who has any experience with slashers can put the pieces together pretty quick. Didn't give me much of a taste for what to expect, but I might pick it up sometime based on the screenshots from the full game. The pixel art is great. Actually, on that note, the screenshots made me think I'd be in a computer screen more often, but I guess that's a possible misinterpretation on my part. Or maybe the demo was just a prologue, or maybe there's more scenes between computer time than I expected. I guess we'll find out when the full game comes out. Scottside. Another weird thing in small town story. And I'm all for a solid one of those, but the script felt a bit awkward. I couldn't find any info on the devs, so we'll cut them some slack on the writing for now. It could be a translation thing. I was kind of thrown off by all the robot and techie stuff right off the bat. Maybe I just missed that in the promo images. I liked the choose your own adventure screen moments. I liked getting to be a cat in not D&D. Though the role-playing scene, like most of its type, felt rushed and unfulfilling. The art was alright. The sudden change in style for the little intro screen kind of threw me off. Wasn't sure if that's meant to be a placeholder or not. Overall, it held some intrigue, but not enough for me to be just flailing for it. I'll probably give it a try eventually if the reviews for the full version are a general thumbs up from people I trust. Fourth time around. I don't know why this game caught my attention, yet I had this instinctive, nah, I don't likey feeling about it. I forced myself to sit down with the demo, and yes, I finished it, to see if it was a no likey positive or a no likey negative. Pretty sure I can put this down on the positive end of the make ya feel icky spectrum. The demo was like performance art, and I mean that in the nicest way possible as someone who has dabbled in some pretty weird live performance myself, both as an audience member and on stage. It'll intrigue you, or it'll infuriate you probably. If it intrigues you, finish the demo. If it's not your cup of tea, move on. Now, the dev message at the beginning of the demo noted that the final product will have vignettes that you play out individually, while the demo is a bigger, like, mishmash kind of thing of the first vignette and stuff from elsewhere in the game. It's possible the full game will feel a little less topsy-turvy, but I imagine the vibe will remain the same. It might even get under your skin a little. And finally, Dungeon Bodega Simulator. Okay, yeah, maybe this is a little less horror than you were expecting from me, but I stumbled on it randomly, added it to my gotta play demos, and saw it again on one of KC Explosion's threads on Blue Sky, so I had high hopes for it. It's not as fleshed out yet, and there's a bit of tedium to the current setup, but like I said in my full playthrough, link below, it's an awesome concept with a lot of potential. And yes, you can pet the cat, and you can pet the slimes. And there you have it, 15 of the over 50 horror demos available during October 2025 Next Fest that I managed to make time to sit down with, at least for a little bit. This is all just my opinion. You are free to disagree with me. You don't have to put any stake in what I say whatsoever. I just kind of wanted to put my thoughts out there since I wasn't going to get to do what we usually do, where we, play a handful of these on stream. So I decided instead to throw this little thing together in its place.
Hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, well, you're still here.
So, what are you doing? Don't forget, we have tons of horror playthroughs happening right now. I know as of the recording of this video, Silent Hill F/Forte kind of took over, but we will be getting back to Little Goody Two Shoes and Withering Rooms soon. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I hope to see you all around sooner than later. Bye-bye!